Mama, have you ever felt like you were meant for more, but the people around you just couldn't see it? What if success was less about what you're doing and more about who you're becoming? Today, I'm sitting down with Aleshia Amadi. She's a mama, author, and founder of MommaLesh's Wellness Company, and her story is full of faith, self-belief, and realizing that your circle can either lift you or limit you. If you've ever doubted yourself or questioned what you're capable of, this one's for you. Hey, mamas, welcome back to Mamas Building Businesses. Today, I'm sitting down with Aleshia Amadi. She is the founder of MommaLesh's Wellness Company, as well as a published author and serial entrepreneur, and a mama to a really beautiful baby girl. Well, I say baby because she's little. She's probably grown to you, but Aleshia, thanks so much for being here today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Now, how old is your daughter? Because I call her a baby because she's so much younger than my kids, but she's getting up there.
Yep, she's 4.5, so she'll be 5 next May. And I still call her my baby girl, and thank God she still loves the snuggle. So yeah,
That's amazing because it will not last forever, unfortunately. So soak it up.
that's right. Absolutely.
My kids are like, "Why are you always trying to touch us?"
They're in that phase.
So let's start off by you introducing yourself and just sort of going through the different entrepreneurial endeavors that you have done over the years because you've been a serial entrepreneur for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I have been, I would say, a serial entrepreneur since 2018. So, I'm a published author. I do a wellness business. So I make like sea moss and elderberry syrup. And I just recently started promoting the juices that I do. So kind of like cold pressed juices that you would see in the grocery store. But what kind of launched me into that was after the loss of my first child, or my second child, I should say, excuse me, it really just propelled me to want to write about my story. And so my first, I guess you could say, entrepreneurial endeavor was writing my first book called Despite of My Circumstances, Trusting in the Right Source in the Midst of It All, which I published on Amazon. And that really motivated me to just encourage people from all walks of life that have been through pregnancy loss, infancy loss, miscarriage, which is what I went through, stillbirth, even any type of loss of a child, that no matter what you endure, you can overcome with Christ, and that you can get through and that you can heal well with the healer Jesus. And so that was my first kind of go. And then the other thing is, like, I think I always knew, even like at a younger age, that I was called to greater and more and to build something, but I just didn't know what. And I think that's just part of life. Like, you just kind of go through, just the journey of discovering and finding yourself, finding your strengths, what you like and what you don't like. And then you just kind of get molded into becoming. And that's kind of been my journey. So, I want to say during the pandemic, that's when I actually started getting into juicing and healthy stuff, and just really wanting to take care of my body and also seeing other people maybe going through their own health issues. It really inspired me to kind of start doing research and to create my own. And that's kind of what led me to what I do. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Now, and you have done, I mean, you and I met in church.
Yeah.
Your parents now have their own church.
Mhm.
You are very, very strongly rooted in faith. And
Mhm.
so tell me a little bit about how not only your faith in God, but your believability in yourself has impacted you on that journey.
Yeah. I think, having a strong family basis is very important. And I'm glad that I had it bringing, but I always will tell people that you can't just rely on your family, mom and dad, when it comes to their faith and their beliefs. Like, you have to, have your own Damascus road of discovering and finding, who God is for yourself. And so that's what I did. And I think for me, like, it just allowed me, once I went through what I went through in college, I had my party years, I had my fun times, all that good stuff. But it was fleeting, you know what I mean? Like it was not something that was substantial and everlasting. And when you find Jesus, you realize that he's your source, he's your strength, he's everything that you need outside of, just searching and seeking and not being fully fulfilled. So yeah, I think for me, like it just helped me to be strong, to overcome many of the trials and tribulations that I gone through in life, and as an advocate to help women and encourage women and propel women, my faith is definitely that foundation to doing those things.
That's amazing because I know for myself that I just can't really imagine like doing life without believing in God, without believing in a higher power, because I've had so many moments. I feel like over the years as I've grown up and matured and been on my spiritual journey and just really developing that relationship, you learn to trust your intuition. Like I have said it a couple times on this channel that, I this channel really the idea for the community was like a year and a half before I made a move. And as soon as I made a move, I just received so much confirmation from mamas like that it was so needed. And I was kind of like, oh, God, you were right. This is what I should be doing. So it's like just learning how to like trust yourself, trust your intuition, and all of it's God-given, right? But like just knowing, well, if I feel this or if I'm really passionate about this, that means something. It's it really means something. So okay, let's talk a little bit about how the people around you outside of your family have influenced and shaped your journey because you went through a divorce in the last couple of years and you were an entrepreneur before, during, and after in a sense. And I don't think it's just in like marriages, but just the people we have around us and the things that are going on around us impact so greatly this journey that we're on. So how has that been like different before and after?
Yeah, I think for me, because like I said, I've done different things, and one thing I forgot to mention is I had a jewelry business for like 4 years. So many might know paparazzi, that name. So I was able to be what I would call successful in the business. I was able to work all avenues of buying, selling, reinvesting. I had a team. I had an online website. I would go live, so people knew me online.
You were
And
live all the time.
yeah, schedule. So I was on like weekly, so people knew who Charity Grace Treasures was. That was my business name, which I named after my daughter who had passed back in 2018. But yeah, like I think community is so important. And so I've been blessed to have a strong like family community. I have a good online community. I'm a communicator by nature, so those that follow me on social media, I have a decent following of thousands of followers on there. So I've always kind of had that presence. And within that, there's like certain people that you start to really connect with, and those that will support you, and then you support them as well. It's that reciprocation. And then, I have like my close girls, that, you can call them and they're there to support you and you support them as well. And so I think having a strong support system really helped to push me and propel me into some of the business endeavors and just the dreams and aspirations that I have. And even through like the transitions of my life, especially like going through my divorce, like I had people in my tight knit corner that were like, leash, like you can still do this, you can still make it, you can still pursue your dreams. And that really gave me the hope and the faith and the trust and just the grit to say, girl, get back up again, pursue what it is God placed within you. And so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, resilience is a funny thing. Like sometimes we're able to dig deep within ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
like push ourselves forward. Other times we need to be like, okay, well, I'm doing this for my kids, not for me. And then that pushes us forward. And sometimes we just need like a really good friend in our corner that's like, get it together and get back out there because you're capable.
Yeah.
So, so you have a 4.5-year-old, you have your
Hmm.
business, you're really involved in ministry, and you still work full time now.
Yeah.
So, or went back to work full time, I should say. So, how do you balance it all?
Yeah, that's a good question because I think I went through a phase, especially like after the divorce. It was kind of like, okay, what's next? And just kind of a little snippet of my story. Like, I really had to start my life over, like from the bottom up. I mean, job, employment, relocating, everything. And so, with all of that, it really allowed me to dig deep to say, okay, Aleshia, what do you like? What are your strengths? What are your dreams? What are your goals? And let's build upon that again. So, in the last 2 years, I've been able to literally start from ground zero and to just emerge again and find me again, which has been refreshing, because when you lose yourself, it is hard to just get back to the things that you're used to. So I think balancing for me is I have, and I'll just give an example. I have my planner. I cannot live without my planner. I'm a writer by nature, so I like to write things down. And one thing I would say too is give yourself grace, because that's one thing I think I struggled with is not giving myself grace to just figure things out and to let things be and let things kind of blossom and to unfold. But I think creating a set schedule and having structure and allocating your time appropriately and giving yourself time to rest too in the midst of everything that you do. Because as mamas, we wear lots of hats. It can be a lot, and sometimes it can be stressful. But I think if we learn to allocate our time, with our children, if you are married, and even if you're single, you need time for yourself. That balance is key. But I think a set schedule helps me on social media. I like to schedule my posts. That helps relieve me. Um, and then too, sometimes getting that support system where you're like, okay, I can't do this alone. So maybe you need to bounce ideas off of others to help strengthen the things that you're doing. So these are things that have really helped me in my journey. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, balance, I feel like it's always like you're always tweaking it and different seasons look different. Like I
Hmm.
love time blocking, but I have to reevaluate my time blocking like every couple of weeks just to make sure that I'm putting time, like allocating it where it really needs to be. And yeah, it is um it's a stretch. Like
Hmm.
it's a constant work in progress. So okay, you are in the wellness space with juices, sea moss, very like natural wellness.
Hmm.
It is a space that is very competitive, and I think that especially this time of year, people are gearing up for New Year's resolutions and figuring out, what they're going to do, what their health goals are. How have you been able to differentiate yourself and your brand compared
Yeah.
to others that are doing something similar?
I think that's another good question. And I think one thing that I guess, encouraged me, or I would say propelled me even more so, is to just simply be you. And that might sound so cliche, but it's the truth. Just be you. And you have to have enough confidence in yourself that whatever God placed within you, like that's meant for other people to see and to hear. And God always has a people for us. And so my brand might look different from another person's brand, but because of the uniqueness that God placed within me, there's going to be people that will gravitate to me because of, again, what he's placed within. And so that's what I had to trust. That's what I had to believe in. And the other thing I would say is just showing up consistently. And I think that's another area where people struggle is, we can start a thing, but can we continue even when we're not seeing all the results, even when, there might not be a lot of people showing up in the beginning, but you have to be so confident in you that even if not a lot of people are showing up in the beginning, you stay faithful and allow God to see the fruit that you have, and He'll bless it and He'll blossom it in His time. So that's what I've done. I'm seeing the fruit of that.
Yeah, you are definitely one of the most consistent people, like, because we have been friends on Facebook. I mean, it's probably been a decade or maybe even longer. I don't know. It's been a long time. And just myself, like people that I see pop up the most and posting the most consistently and getting on live, like when you had your jewelry business, every time I was like, dang, she's on live all the time. And I'm so impressed by that because back then I was like afraid to get in front of a camera. Like when you were on live all the time, I would not dare be on camera. So I was like, oh my gosh, she's killing it. So you are definitely one of the most consistent people, like for sure on my timeline. And I think that's really, really incredible because you're really not just selling products, it's a movement. And like you said, it's a community, which is why you have been able to pivot and your audience still continues to buy from you. Where other people in business, a lot of times, if they make a big pivot, like from jewelry to juicing, you know,
Yeah.
they will have a lot of their audience fall off because they're kind of like, well, I was here for jewelry, right? But you have really, really created that. So, with that being said, with you creating that, what message do you hope that women receive when they experience you and your brand?
Yeah. I think my foundational scripture for my business, MommaLesh Wellness Company, is 3 John 1 and 2, and it's, beloved, may you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So I'm an advocate to believe that, God wants us to take care of our physical and our spiritual. And so when you're buying my product, I'm focusing on that the wellness of you matters, the wholeness of you or the wholeness of you matters, excuse me. And so, when you're taking that product, believe that you are doing something good for yourself. You're nourishing your body, your spirit, your mind, your soul, and you're taking the steps to just better health. And I think the other thing when it comes to like any of the endeavors that I've done is, again, it goes back to being you. Um, I put lots of love in what I do, lots of compassion. When I'm talking to my customers, I make it very personable. So they know that, even just that one message of reaching out and purchasing from me, it doesn't stop there. If you have questions, I will be available. If you are uncertain or you have a question in regards to, how can this better my health or is this good for diabetes, whatever it is, I think being personable and not stopping based on the sale itself, I think that's what reels people in and it builds that trust and credibility.
I really love that. And I love that you said that you make everything with so much like compassion and love because I'm a big believer. I don't know how you feel about stuff like this, but I'm a really big believer in energy. Like I don't believe in necessarily like letting everybody pray for you. I don't necessarily believe in like like eating everybody's cooking. And it's not even about bad taste. It's just more so like the person that is creating it, or the person that is praying for you, or the person that's cooking the meal, you know, what is their intention and what is their energy like when they're doing that. The older I get, the more I just really believe in the transfer of energy and just protecting that, you know what I mean? And I think that the incredible thing with you, because you have been so consistent over the years and you've really been so transparent and vulnerable, where so many people, their social media is like a highlight reel. And we know we all go through things, you know what I mean? There's always peaks and valleys, but because you have remained consistent and you're like, look, this is the truth. This isn't what I wanted to happen, but it's what happened and here it is and this is how I'm dealing with it. Um People know your intention and they can feel that. So I think that's so important. So I guess another question about just the balance of everything. How have you created boundaries? Because I think that, especially for women, I think, and especially for moms, sometimes it can be really hard to create boundaries um, with our kids, with our families, with the people around us, when we have goals and things and we're like, okay, we need to have blinders on right now. How do you set those boundaries?
Yeah, that's good too, because boundaries, that's what helps to keep peace. It keeps us afresh. It keeps us refreshed too. And so, like, for example, like with my daughter, um, I am big on spending time with her, and we have what we call mommy daughter day. But there's times, of course, where it's like mommy time. So, like, when I put her down for bed, that is my time. Like, I'm a night hawk, so I find time to reset. I put my music on, maybe light a candle, I read my word, or maybe I'm just chilling and watching a movie and sipping on some tea. So like that's just my time. I try to wind down and like answer like messages and such at a certain period of time of the night. Um, just to again have that time for me because we need that to have our cups refilled and to be refreshed. And then even like when it comes to ministry and such, there are certain seasons and periods where I will make like a public post and say, hey, look, I'm resting. I'm not answering any messages. I'm not taking any prayer requests. I'm not doing any of this right now because I need that time for me. And so, again, I think, we have to be so comfortable with not always saying yes. We have to. No is a complete sentence, the complete word, and we have to stand on it. Which the kids say, stand on business. Like, we got to stand on business when it comes to our mental health, spiritual health, and just our whole totality. Because we can't pour from an empty cup. It's not realistic and it's not beneficial to you, nor is it beneficial to others. So I've learned, I think, in the last 2 years and getting back to me to set healthy boundaries. And I know when I need my cup filled and when I know that I reach that point, it's like, okay, let me make sure that I'm not allowing people to drain me or for people to make it seem like I'm obligated to reach and to do when I need, again, time for myself.
I think that's so amazing, and you're right. Like, we have to refill our cups, and that's something that I preach all the time because I think, especially like even take off the business hat, like on the mom side, we stretch ourselves thin and stretch ourselves thin because we want to be like everything to everybody, especially like for me, I have two kids, so sometimes it's like, a tug and pull. It's a little different now because my daughter's like grown and out of the house. But when they
Mhm.
were both home, especially, it would be, like this tug and tug and pull. Like I'm trying to do this and this, and you don't ever want anybody to feel left out. But um, it is so important because when you fill your own cup, you're able to be a better mother. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of the part that people miss sometimes, like if you take an hour to yourself, well, when you show up for those other 23 hours a day, you're able to show up in such a better way. Like when I was really, really like just overworked in my business, in my marketing agency, and I would, work like 14, 16-hour days. My I'm not naturally a super patient person anyway. That's something I work on intentionally all the time. But I was
Yeah.
less patient. You know what I mean? I would be more quick to be short with my kids because I was just like exhausted and stressed out and all those things. And then take it a step further as entrepreneurs, I'm a big believer that there are business owners and there are entrepreneurs, and it's not that one's better than the other. It's just sort of like more so your purpose and your calling on your life. And I think entrepreneurs, we are meant to be visionaries and have impact on a lot of people. And in order to be able to do that, we really have to show up as our best selves, or those people don't get our best selves. So yeah, so I love that you touched on that. Okay, so finally, to wrap things up and bring it full circle, for the mama who is watching, who, maybe has gone through a bad breakup or a divorce, or, was used to being a full-time entrepreneur, had to go back to work, and is still juggling, a business, work, kids, personal time, and relationships. What would you tell her about choosing the right circle, strengthening her faith, and believing that she's capable of more?
hmm Yeah, I think, choosing the right circle, it really starts with discernment, and being able to understand what is good and what is good. And you can't do that without consulting the Lord. And so, when you ask the Lord to show you who it is that you need to be around and who you need to, maybe reevaluate who you are amongst, He will do that if you allow Him to, just ask, seek, and knock. Um, and the other thing is, you know, be confident in yourself. And I think I kind of touched on that before. Be confident in your gifts, be confident in you, be confident in who you are. And know that you're special, know that you're unique, and know that, again, what God placed in you, it's meant for others to see. And God will place those people around you that will value and appreciate what's in you. And, when it comes to just trying to figure out and navigate everything, give yourself grace and give yourself time. Things don't happen overnight. I know, like, when I first started like my wellness business last November, I was like panicking and like trying to figure out, like, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, and how is this going to work, and how am I going to ship? And God's like, girl, just calm down and just start. And I think, that's what I want to encourage the mamas out there is sometimes we just have to, take that one foot forward and just start. And even if it's small, even if it seems very minute, your little will become much. Just give yourself grace and time and allow things to blossom in its time. And trust that, again, God placed in you, it's going to flourish in its time. So, you know, I just want to encourage every mother, every mama out there, you got this. God is with you. And there are, again, people that are going to rally around you and support you. And the thing is, too, and I'll say this, sometimes the support is unexpected. It's going to be from people you don't even know. So don't always expect it to be the familiar. No, your support is going to come from people that aren't familiar. And that's okay, because that's where the building and the blossoming, it comes.
That's amazing. I don't think there's a better way to end this. Aleshia, thank you so much. You are an amazing mother, an amazing business owner, and you're just really an inspiration. As somebody who has watched from a distance for many years, I think you're a tremendous inspiration to women.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for all the mamas watching, if you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will put in the description box below the ways that you can connect with Aleshia and check out MommaLesh's Wellness Company and her amazing sea moss and fresh juices. And we will be back soon with another episode. Thanks, guys.